you are today, and we're going to be covering some of the most important pieces to make sure, like Drew said, that we are kind of herding the cats back into a straight line, making sure that, if any questions come up that are very specific to you or your beach, please feel free to come and talk to one of the staff. Like, oh goodness, I don't think we've been doing that quite. If it's specific to you, come and chat with us after. A lot of things, we want things to be consistent and not do big changes over time. So just come talk to us about it, but we'll kind of cover the high level pieces as we go.
Oh, can I say one more thing? Sorry.
Yeah.
So I know everybody did their homework, so when you come to the oil practical, bring your homework and we'll check you out. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so these are the topics we're going to cover this morning in the next hour and a half. Really important things, having 140 people out in the field, we have to talk about safety again. I want to show you where all the current resources are on the portal. I would say almost all of you. There are new maps, there are newer manuals than when you joined. Talk about research permits, sensitive species, media, that kind of thing. We're going to skip the break because we're trying to keep on track with our snafu this morning with the timing. If you need to get up and go to the bathroom, just go. And then we will talk about the more field-specific protocols after that. Okay, so safety. Being in the field, and one of the things, every time we get on the boat, we have to remind ourselves about safety and say, okay, we cannot be complacent. We know we've been out here a million times. We've walked this beach so many times. But being aware of the hazards such as the ocean conditions, the weather, uneven terrain, wildlife, and you never know, interactions with the public. So please stay ocean aware, never turning your back on the ocean, looking out for your teammates. Are they paying attention to the ocean? Give them a heads up. Always expect larger waves and have an exit plan for if a larger wave is coming. I know some of you, like 115, sometimes you have to hop up a little bit higher. These kind of things always keep in mind because it may not happen your first year, but maybe your 5th or 8th year. You might have a trickier situation to get into. And always remembering to check your safety alerts. So the ones that Drew sends out, check your own weather, check your own tides. And remember, those tide levels are just predictions. They can be higher, in an El Nino, they're significantly higher. So always just see how it's feeling. If conditions change and become unsafe, stop and leave your survey. We have ways for dealing with that, right? Our percent surveyed. Coastal weather changes quickly. I've certainly been out in the middle of a survey and suddenly gotten dumped on. So being prepared for those weather conditions to change. And again, keep an eye on your partner. Are they starting to get a little confused? I've been in situations where a very seasoned biologist in the Antarctic next to me suddenly was slurring his voice and not making the right decisions. And it's not that he wasn't unseasoned, but just circumstances come up. So keeping an eye out for your teammates. And remember that slips, trips, and falls, for all the best of us, most sturdy, that's what happens in the field. So definitely be very careful. Physical preparation, knowing your physical limits on the day that you're out there. Our physical limits change depending on what's going on in our lives, and plan accordingly. If it turns out that it's just not the day for you to be out there, it's better that you make that call and not go out than get into a situation that you just can't handle that day. And looking out for your team, once again, we'll be talking more about PPE, but definitely PPE is a very, the personal protective equipment. Sorry, I'll try not to use the acronyms. Using those gloves, using the enhanced PPE that we've been talking about are super important these days. So avoid dangerous situations by using your weather window accordingly. You have a 5-day window. So I know we've all been through this, but just reminders while we have you all here today. So highly pathogenic avian influenza. How many of you attended our lecture last summer?
On Zoom.
On Zoom. A few people, great. The recording still exists. So that's the title of it on our volunteer portal, the 2025 Happy Hour HPAI update. And you have the benefit of having Sue after that as a reminder, but the highly pathogenic avian influenza is really a real thing, and it is contagious to humans. The risk for beach watch activities are low to medium. We've worked with Department of Fish and Wildlife risk assessment people. And so because we are doing outdoor activities, but because we are interacting with animals and wildlife, and we are touching them, we are at that low to medium level. So we really need to, remind people to keep using that PPE. So that enhanced biosecurity measures during a survey, disinfecting personal equipment, binoculars, cameras, pencils, gloves, using hand sanitizer when changing gloves, not reusing PPE, changing your PPE. So we are asking you to bring a lot more of that stuff out into the field, especially if you're on one of those beaches that could have 20 dead. You're going to be packing some extra. We don't like having to throw a lot of things away, but it is important. People that work around wildlife have an increased risk from other people in the community. So bag and dispose of those things once worn, and wear fresh clothing for field work for each bout of your field work. So your survey vests, you're going to want to wash those kind of things. And then after your survey, so you're in your field gear, you've been handling dead. You don't want to just go and get into your car that then your dog is going to load up into later, or your kids. So you're going to be cleaning the bottom of field shoes with 100% bleach before getting in the car. Never mix bleach and alcohol, especially just ever, period. So have that change of outerwear before you get into the car, wiping your survey equipment again, after your survey is completed, including all of the things that you've touched during your survey, and changing your clothes before interacting with pets and people. This really is a thing. So if you have any questions about that, please let us know. Remember that slideshow that has a greater explanation of the risk by being in the field is online. And we do keep, Jan and I keep in very close touch with all the other researchers in the area that are working on HPAI, the testing. Sue will probably may mention it today. She's been testing both birds and mammals that are coming through. So everybody has heightened level of security. So we do have, as we've mentioned on emails, we do have PPE available. If you request it, let us know. Masks, eye protection, gloves, and alcohol wipes. So those kind of one-use wipes, you can get packets of them at the pharmacy, and they're great for cleaning your gear. Okay, any questions on HPAI?
We do have masks.
Yeah.
Extra gloves or something.
Yeah, so do just let us know. I think we didn't, I don't know if we put them. Yeah, we have, I think, all of those things today. So just ask. Yes, Rebecca.
Are masks supposed to be changed with each fitting?
Yes, or just leaving them on.
Okay.
You can just leave it on. Okay, and then the last on safety. So if you feel like you have been exposed, and again, that online video has more about symptoms and things that the birds may exist. If you feel like you were exposed and then you become ill a couple of days later, please let us know. As an organization that you are working under, we need to do safety reporting. So this has not happened, and I hope that it doesn't, but just talk to us. Don't be embarrassed. We are here to support. And also, if you get injured on a survey, please let us know, because we have both through NOAA and GFA, we have to do some reporting. And then if you need support, there are pathways that we can go to help with that. That's what your volunteer agreement forms are for. So doesn't happen very often, but has. Okay, so current Beach Watch resources. So we have, I think you all probably have downloaded data sheets and that kind of thing online. Have you explored the maps? There are newer maps than probably a lot of you started. So there's a more current Beach Watch manual. I will say I think it's actually the 2021 manual that's on the portal, and the only change to a 2024 is adding Kelly in as a staff person. So if you have the 2021, and that is, I think, what's on the manual on the portal, that's current. The Beach Watch maps also that you can download and view are awesome. I will show them to you. Permits we'll talk about more, but this is on the portal is also where you can download and print those. And species lists. We used to, in the way Dark Ages, print everyone a new species list all the time. You know what? Things keep changing. Scientific names change often. Common names change fairly often. So there is a searchable species code list online in the portal. And so keep an eye on that. We do not print them anymore. So maps, have you all seen the maps that look like this? Okay, so they're a one pager for each map. So say you are going to cover a survey for Lee. You can go into the portal and look up, they're categorized by regions. And so does anyone know what region this speech 101 would be? It's region 1. It's that first number. So there are, the documents are really large, so they are characterized by those regions. So on this single page you can print out has the survey boundaries, the survey length, access difficulty, the regulations. So our old maps didn't have that. So has the land manager information and contact number, and also if streams are present. And we will talk more about that today. So these are fairly living documents. Things change on your beaches, and you all are the expert on your beach. So please let us know if something is not current. I know in particular, a couple of beaches that we need to get clarification on the stream flows, because the two teams are handling them differently. So I will reach out to them. But if you have any specific changes that you want made to your map, work with us on it. So you can't really read it here, but this section on the bottom has the regulations for your beach. And that includes all of the different layers of management. It has the sanctuary regulations. It has the specific land manager regulations. It has the California State MPA regulations. So know what your violations are for your beach. So here is, it's in kind of a paragraph form, but it has all the different regulations for that particular site, and then also the land manager contact at the bottom. So we all know that we care about this coastline so much. And if we see somebody violating a regulation, because we know our regulations, just a reminder, it is not our role to enforce. So if it is a violation, It can be called into CalTIP. It can be reported through the disturbance monitoring, the disturbance capture when you enter your data. But Beach Watch volunteers have no enforcement authorization. Do not engage with those violators. There are other groups of people out there that are trained for those kind of things, but with your Beach Watch hat on, please do not. Yes.
We have the snowy plover on our beach, and there are dogs that shouldn't be there. So I have really great experience. Obviously, I broke the rule to just go up and say, you know, you might not know that we have the little plovers here, and these. So that is not what.
Well, we as Beach Watch staff, we have not trained you in that. And I have seen that go sideways pretty badly. So just in my role here today, I just need to say that is outside of Beach Watch's scope. And your heart is in the right place. So I will say nothing more, but that is, snowy plovers are a tricky one, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So you all know that we have permits. We have permits for a lot of different things, but all permits do not allow you to do all things. If that makes sense. So we ask you to carry permits on all of your surveys. Your permits are needed for, like, as in, for us to do research in state parks and national parks. And we also have some permits that allow us the collection of specimens, and this is under Mo's permit. And we are actually not doing that now. Could that be more confusing? So we do still carry them, but we are asking because of HPAI that we are not doing any collecting. If you find a really cool bird on your survey, you can stash it in a place and call Cal Academy and say, hey, at the access point behind the log, there is a waved albatross, you know, something like that. But we are not asking, we're not saying to take anything. We also want to remind everyone that you can never collect a specimen for your own purposes, even if you're bringing it home, want to bring it home to study it. We are not allowed to collect anything for our own purposes, and only if directed to do so by Beach Watch or Cal Academy staff. So when we talk about permits, we're talking mainly about research permits. We have research permits that Jan and I apply to that allow us to do specific Beach Watch activities. And the land managers can say, yes, you can do your Beach Watch surveys, but you cannot do X, Y, and Z. And so we will talk a little bit more about that next. So volunteers have certainly been asked to show their permits, so please have them with you. We're about to have a new batch of permits come out, so maybe don't print them this week. They will be coming quite soon, and then you can, we'll announce when a new permit packet is coming up, and you can print that for your bag. Did I see a question?
Oh, no, I've never received one when I started, so I didn't have a permit.
Yeah, so I think that would have been, in general, we ask people to print their own permit packets. And so then if somebody needs it to be printed, they can ask us, but yeah. Okay, so sensitive species. We have a number of sensitive species and that there may be special closures for on the beach. Harbor seals, elephant seals, snowy plovers. Who here has a special closure on their beach at some point during the year? A lot of you. Okay, our research permits do not allow access to those areas, period. That is a big deal. And we have had volunteers that said, you know, I've been here for a long time and I'm just going to go ahead, and it really cannot happen. We get we have very stressful conversations with our, you know, park service or state parks when that happens. So please adhere to those special closure areas. So we have those research permits. But there is a different kind of permit which we do not have, and that's an incidental take permit. That is the kind of permit that the snowy plover researchers along this whole coast, they have an incidental take permit. So that means they could be going in and stressing the birds out. They're allowed to do that because they have that permit. We do not have that permit. And what state parks and other agencies, they are tightening up what we can do. So we're about to talk about some changes that will be made to what we do around snowy plovers. And so I need your ears on for that because it's a big deal. Okay.
May I ask, how would we know if there is a special closure? Do we get a notification, or is the beach gonna be marked with a closed sign?
Yeah, we actually work very closely with the teams that survey beaches that have special closures. So like our Drake's folks, they're completely closed right now because elephant seals are completely using their beach. And we work with the park on when we need to not be out on that beach. Some special closures are when the upper part of the beach is fenced off for snowy plovers, that kind of thing. And so if you're not sure, that means it is not on your beach. But if you are going to cover for somebody on another beach, it's helpful to understand, what types of restrictions might happen on that beach. Okay, so there's some new pieces in here. And this is still unfolding because we are having active meetings with our state parks permit, our Park Service friends. So we're lumping our activities in the breeding season and our activities in the non-breeding season for kind of different what we can do and what we can't do. But some changes here. So as always, for breeding seasons, that's March, that's like tomorrow, right? The birds are already starting to get kind of nesty. During the breeding season, we need to respect the closed areas. Do not enter and do not stand at the edge of it watching birds in the enclosure. That is a stressful activity and for the birds, and we don't have an incidental take permit, so we cannot stand there and try and watch the birds closely during the breeding season. We've been asked to walk on damp sand whenever safety allows, moving past the plover areas, and surveying at low tide to give more room for plovers on the beach. These will be part of our upcoming permits. So these are significant changes. When near the nesting area, we need to keep moving, not do long pauses. So you can stop to check, a flock of sanderlings along the waterline, pause and keep moving. Because the birds, the plovers, especially in the breeding season, are super cryptic. And they will very likely see you and you will not see them, even the best observer. So keeping moving is going to be very important. So we can pause to identify the shorebirds. If it's not enough time for you to get a specific ID, remember we have those codes, PEEP, right, for small shorebirds. And we have those other shore is another one for shorebirds. This next one is a big change. No reading plover bands during the breeding season, period. There are other researchers that have those take permits that are going to be out there every month of the year collecting that data. So rest assured that is covered, but that we will not be collecting that. And then if you are in an area with plovers on the dry sand above you, or a symbolic closure, you can pick up a carcass and move it beyond an area where you can get a little bit higher up on the beach to be out of kind of the swash area. And then for those active plover beaches, asking that you not stop to have lunch during your survey, because that will take you up high and dry into the sand on the beach into an area where the plovers are actively using. And so these are all part of the requests from the state and national park. Questions?
It says don't read the bans, but do you mark that they have bans?
No, you don't need to.
You don't even do that.
Nope. Nope. You can do counts if they're quick. And no counting, no doing bands. Let's do a sweep. Okay, Woody.
When do I have lunch?
Well,
I have a 5 kilometer beach.
Yeah.
That's pretty much closed.
Yeah. Well, we can talk more about that, and if it's a problem, we can cancel season surveys during the breeding season. It's just,
We'll make it work, but I mean.
I know.
That's a practicality.
it's a practicality, and if it's not doable, we can cancel breeding season surveys. Yes.
Well, also the snowy flake, are you probably joking, but, move away. The whole 100% of, especially that big beach, are not snowy clover, just go to a different area.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
have
but
one.
the request is that we not go and spend a bunch of time in one place, even if we think birds aren't there. So this is like, the beach in question is a big snowy plover beach. And so we will work with the snowy plover beach teams very closely on this, but we want everyone to have the information because you might swap out and survey a beach. We acknowledge this is a big change. Yes.
Can you put this on the portal or something so we
Yeah.
can print it out?
Yeah.
And to refresh it?
Absolutely. Again, we will, as the permit is getting issued in the next weeks, we will have much more specific language. This is the take homes from the meetings that we've had so far. Okay, I think we had Anne and then, we have a lot of,
Whether there's whether there's fencing or not, this applies to any beach that has snowy plovers.
yes.
Whether it's fencing, okay.
Yeah. The question was, so some beaches that have snowy plovers breeding do not have the symbolic fencing. And I know that will be the case for Manchester Beach and others. So if it is a beach that has snowy plovers, these requirements will be at play. We are just working this out as this is new information for us. So bring us your questions and we will do our best to get to consensus on them.
Symbolic fencing isn't when it's lined.
Yeah.
It is when it's lined.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if there's a bird carcass close to that, but not inside that fencing, we move that to a different area.
Yes.
If it's inside the fencing.
It's off
then
limits.
it's off.
So I assume if I see plovers and I see a dead bird in the middle of the plovers, I don't approach.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, we are going to give them as big a berth as possible because literally stressing the birds out in any way is considered take. So like the agencies we're working with are being flexible with us to be able to keep doing this work. If you look at the letter of the law, it's incredibly strict. So we are doing our best we all have the same intention, and we're really glad to hear that the information is getting captured by somebody else. And we originally started collecting the band information at the request of state parks and federal parks. And after 30 years, those requests are changing. And so it's what goes into our permit. So that is what we are going to do. Yep. We are being held to a higher standard. And that, that is, yeah.
So are you still counting them, but not like standing and trying to see every last one kind of thing?
Yes. So, let's see.
What you see as you walk by, you can count.
Yeah, it's not doing a deep dive into looking for them. I mean, they're so cryptic in the summer anyway, that's, you're just kind of keeping moving.
Okay.
Okay,
This has happened to me a couple of times over the years. I'm on the damp sand. This is at Dorn Beach. And you think you're counting sanderlings, and all of a sudden, there's the plovers.
mm-hmm.
Well, I stopped but lingered there a long time, counting them, and what do you do? Just
Yeah, I think the take home from the meetings that we've had are, on a beach that you know plovers are on in the summer, so Doran is one. You are going to just plan to not spend a ton of time trying to get, if you, again, if using a code like PEEP, like, okay, goodness, it's plover season. I'm pretty sure I'm in the plover spot. I have shorebirds here. I'm gonna, do my best, in the span of a minute to do a quick pass, and then I'm gonna keep moving. And if it is a big flock of plovers, and, to make that decision even quicker, like, okay, plovers, we got a rough number on them, a solid number on them, we're gonna keep moving. Okay, I'm gonna go on to the next slide. So non-breeding season guidelines. So remember, they're still threatened species all year long. So November to February. So if plovers are present, giving them space, walk on damp sand to get around them. I think we probably already do that. It's okay to pause to identify shorebirds to species, so you have more leeway and doing your normal counts. And this one is a little bit up in the air. I suspect in some areas it will be fine to read clover bands. But I think so far we've heard that in some areas we will not be reading colored bands even. So it's going to be a little bit beach by beach on this, or land manager by land manager. And then also in this non-breeding season, it's okay to process carcasses where you find them. And it's okay to stop for lunch. That one's for you. So we thank you for your patience, and, the researchers that are doing the plover work out there understand that they have a whole other level of certification, permits, training. We are not in the same category as them. And if they are communicating something about what you're doing on the beach is not feeling right to them, just please be polite, deferential, move on, and let us know, because we want to make sure that we keep all the relationships good. And we're in a phase where we're kind of working out some new systems, so just a little extra grace and patience, and we will figure this out.
Just overview, what is precipitating this change?
I think there have been some concerns about volunteer activities, a few incidences. We have new staff. So in the past, we were in direct communication with all the plover biologists, and over time, those plover biologists change. And so when we become an unknown entity, there's a little less like, I'm gonna text Kirsten, hey, heads up, I saw something that was a little out of the ordinary today with the team on the beach, and she'll let them know and it won't happen again. So now we have new people coming in, and when you read the letter of the law, everything that they're saying is legit. Like, we aren't permitted to read the color bands. So this is what's precipitating this.
On the previous slide, I had inferred that it was saying that pick up bird carcasses, second from the last. I presume really we wouldn't process a mammal either if it's.
Yeah, that's something that we need to work out. I think just getting clear, with state parks, they are working on our permit right now, and some of these questions are literally unanswered. So hearing that, we will you know, it's easy to talk about the bird, just pick it up and move it. Mammals, that's not gonna happen. What's the guidance on that? So again, thank you for your patience, but this is important enough that we want to bring to you now. I think most of these changes will definitely stand. And so more information to come. Oh, Jan has a question.
I'm a little clear on the lead corrections, and I've been in on these conversations, so we will also get information about using that extent of the beach covered. We'll
Yeah.
give you some additional information once we get all of the information back from state parks and national parks. So just remember to use those codes for closed off areas as well as closed beach.
But this is a good time. If you leave today and you have things that you're chewing over in your mind, send us an email about it, because this is, Jan and I are actively meeting with our colleagues on this, and these will be a good time to bring questions to them. And then we can give you a full process, a full readout of all of the findings. Okay. So as you all know, part of the permits we've just talked about are to do the snowy plover compliance trainings every year. And today we'll count for it as the meeting that we'll have with Micah this afternoon. So, but there are other resources on the portal that you can also check out anytime. And okay, whew, we got through that. So media and public representation. Looks like I need to change that slide a little bit. So as you all learned in training, NOAA staff lead all of the media communications. So they will handle all media queries, anything where Beach Watch or the sanctuary are mentioned, they will be point on that. And so if you're approached by the media of any kind, it could be a blogger, it could be the NPR, New York Times, anything, please direct them to us. So we have Jan's email here. Jenny Stock is our outreach lead. And also you could reach out to Kathy or Kelly or me, obviously Drew, and we can connect you to the appropriate people. So, you know, we really cannot have somebody using a title as Beach Watch volunteer in the media without Jenny Stock working on that. But if your local newspaper is quoting you or something, we really need to have that NOAA person coordinating that. Yeah, so just reach out. Any questions on that? So some examples, we've had some volunteers that wanted to give a presentation to their community about, you know, all of the work that they do. That can be possible working with Jenny Stock and ourselves to make sure that the sanctuary is presented in the right way and that kind of thing. So it's really just making sure that we're all on the same page and not getting ourselves into tricky situation. Okay, is anybody aware of the stream data collection? There's a new data sheet for the front of the first page of your data sheet. And there is a new section on it that captures stream data. So I think, how many people have streams? Lots. And we've been capturing that data in the comments section of our data sheets for 1 million years. And that actually is data that has gotten used quite a few times. Park Service, a number of creeks looking at salmonid restoration. So it's like whenever we want to use that data, we're gleaning it from comments. Like it's a bad situation. So a couple of years ago, we improved the database to include this, and we've populated all of your old comments into an actual data field. So with that, we have a new data sheet. So it looks very familiar, right? And then a new section, seasonal stream flow or lagoon mouth status. So before you leave today, make sure to get one of these if you haven't already been using it and start using this data sheet, especially if you have a stream flow. And before too long, there will be a new page in data entry that has you capture that as well. Yes.
I could mention on your data sheet, page 1 or dead form, you have a revision date in the bottom.
Yeah.
right corner. And the most recent one is 8/1/2021.
I think it's the only one that's available on the portal. So if you've printed it anytime recently, it would be the one.
We still get funding from, well, maybe you know, if we printed out a million
Yeah.
of them. So it's just for scrapping for now and move on to a new one.
Yeah, so you can take a few today. Yeah, question.
We have one named stream on our beach. And there are intermittent streams, for which we have no names. The data sheet says stream name. What do we do with the unnamed stream?
You talk to me and
Okay.
we can name them and add them to the database and add them to your map. So when a team comes to us and says, I have these things I call unknown 1, 2, A, B, C. We'll pull both teams together and say, okay, teams, this is, what are we going to name them? Are there place names already that make sense for this? Should we call them A, B, C? Like, let's just get on the same page. We'll put them on the maps. We'll add them to the database. So when you log in to do your data entry, it will know what your options are.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so again, look at those new maps. And if there's something that's missing, we will add it. Bob?
Do we need to make a comment if we put it there? In addition?
No, we'll talk a little bit more. So it'll be the name and then what the flow status is. So, Jan, can you hold up the new code sheet? We will see a snapshot of it here. So this code sheet that Jan's holding in the back, you probably walked past it and said, oh, I have one of those, but it has a new category unless you took the last training class.
No.
So please take that. It has those flow status codes. So we'll look at that now. Look at that. So next slide. Okay, so there are 4 options. If you are out in the field and actively collecting data, you're going to have 3 options. It's closed, it's open, it's intermittent. Unknown is hopefully only going to be used for historic data when somebody didn't collect anything. So, closed means there's no current water exchange between inland and ocean. And there's no visible sign of water washing over from the berm of an inland waterway recently. And so if you have a stream, you probably will know what I mean. It'll be like, oh, in the last tide cycle, their water was coming in. So if water was washing over in the last tide cycle, it's going to be intermittent. It's like damp sand swash over. If it's open, it's open. It's just going to be obvious. Water is flowing from that inland water out to the ocean. So closed, there's a huge berm. There's no sign of water washing over. It's closed. So we're asking you to take a picture, as we have for a long time. You take a picture and then you're going to name it on your data sheet. Let me see if this next slide, no. You'll name the water source. So it's Kehoe Creek was intermittent on this survey because there's a wet swash across and it's clear that at a different tide, it would have been there. And then so unknown, if you forgot, you know, or maybe you did a partial survey and didn't get to that spot on your beach, maybe you do unknown and you can put in comments, didn't even get to that spot, so we don't know what the creek was doing at that time. Is this making sense? Michelle?
Intermittent, Even if the water goes underground and then it comes out at the beach, that's open or intermittent?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think we're really, okay, so the purpose of wanting to know if water is coming in is in case there's an oil spill and water's coming to the shore, is it going to get into inland waters? Okay, so this is where we start to answer the question that I don't know the answer to. So I would say in general, if that was the case, I know what you mean. The water is kind of going through the berm and then it gets wet again and comes out. It could go either way. That could be closed and that could be intermittent, and we just have to look at it. Like, is there any sign that water ran across the surface? You know, because, yeah, so I think we just have to look at the pictures and talk. You know, these are the kind of things that come up when we get into, you know, tire kicking the new protocols. Holly,
So it seems like what you're most interested in is ocean water that's polluted getting into inland.
could it?
And if the inland water is polluted, it's none of our business and it just goes out to the ocean and gets it.
Well, it's the land manager's business.
Right, but,
Yeah.
but that's not part of our beach protocol.
No, no. Yeah, no, capturing the photographs, communicating to the land managers as we have, you know, remember, there's this gross looking water coming through and they're like, we have a water quality person, you know, so that's what we can do. And comments are always great. Yeah, because that still is data. Okay.
We have two questions. We have two creeks that flow into each other before they go in the ocean. So I don't know which one goes into the ocean.
Okay, let's look at that. Let's look at that for your specific
And the
beach.
other question is, it actually flows into the ocean a little bit beyond our boundary.
Okay, does it, yeah, so sometimes these creek mouths move each year. And so sometimes it may be out of your zone, it may be in your zone, it may break into two. And so we just need to deal with it as it is. So if it is in that year beyond your boundary, I would say it's not flowing to the ocean on your survey, but putting it in comments, because I think if we're writing it in as within your boundaries, it is not flowing to the ocean, but it's flowing to the ocean just outside is important.
Okay.
Yeah, because we would be looking at this data instantly if this oil spill happens, what water you know, streams are open, and that we would be able to get to that information is great.
So intermittent would, if we have a pretty rough beach and intermittent can be dependent on just the tide.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
it depends on when you're there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, with your tracker sense, like I think knowing the question and coming out and saying in the last tide cycle, has water been moving over the surface here? Yes or no? I think when you have that question in mind in the field, I think you will be able to figure it out. So we'll go through some examples. Let's do that. And then maybe come back to questions. Yeah.
Request, so whatever decisions are made for any particular groups, be sure to communicate with the other team.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Everybody's on the same
we
page.
will do our best on that. And I think the teams should also work on, you know, be good on communication. Yeah, it was whatever decisions are made on a particular stream flow or changes to, you know, on a particular beach to make sure that both teams hear about the information. Okay, so we're gonna do a little practice here. So, no, sorry, we'll look at a couple slides and then we'll do practice. What's gonna happen? Because we gave you the answer. Okay, here, this is Miwok Beach. And this is closed. No current water is exchanging between inland and ocean waters, and no visible sign of water washing over the berm from inland during the last 48 hours. You can use unknown if you can't figure it out, but this is pretty straightforward in this case. Open. Oh, this is Chrissy Beach, Chrissy Lagoon. Water currently observed running to the ocean or filling from the ocean. Intermittent. So in this picture, there is a berm, but that there were signs of recent water washing from the beach to inland or the other way around. Maybe a very clear indication might be a swash of damp sand that kind of arcs over the berm. Okay, now is going to be our quiz. Open, close, or intermittent? So in this case, it would be more clear. Yes.
How can you answer that question when you don't know where the pond in the front comes from?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So I was just gonna say, if we were in the field, we would have more evidence. And so in this case, we are using it as an example of closed. And as experts in the field, you might know better. Yeah, thank you for keeping us honest. Anyone know what beach this is? Manchester. Manchester, Garcia River.
It's so far away.
So we said open. Definitely visit. It's an incredible beach. And plovers have just started nesting. Manchester, just north of Point Arena.
Intermittent.
I don't remember the answer. Yeah, it's a little bit blocked, so I was not sure I wasn't gonna say it, but it look, it's a very clear flow. There's water actually flowing, so open. And again, this is much easier when it's your beach and you know it so well.
Yeah.
Probably intermittent. And so you could, go and touch that sand and be like, you know what, this is definitely wetter than all the sand around it. Montera? Yeah. Intermittent.
Can't even see those.
Is this Limitor East? Is it? I'm not sure. Is it Bradley? I'm not sure. Oh, telephone pole. So closed. Okay, so pretty straightforward, right? When you're in the field, it will be more straightforward. Let me know if you want to add anything to the maps in terms of your streams you've been calling unknown, etc. Ann.
Just one thing, on the north of Kehoe, there are a couple things that I would call ephemeral, not intermittent. Is there any way to catalog that difference? Do I have to call it intermittent when it only occurs after heavy rain?
Yeah, if it is something that like water flows to the back of the beach and is really never flowing all the way out to the ocean.
It does flow all the way out.
Yeah, so we can consider it. I think that's when we might talk to both teams and say, does this kind of meet our definition of what we're trying to
I
capture?
always photographed it, but I call it ephemeral because it's not really something that occurs.
Yeah, so let's follow up on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just need one photo where it goes in.
Yeah. Sometimes, if you feel like it needs a couple, take a couple, but one is fine. And then just remember to label what it is. It's your, whatever stream. Amber.
Just to follow up on that, I've heard different for the photos, if we need to take one of the stream or connecting to the ocean, so could you just clarify that?
It's helpful if we can look at the picture and call it, have the complete information to make the call. That is what we have used to recreate the historic data along with the comments, but sometimes we've just had photographs. So it's fine to take more photos. And also now in this day and age, we are also asking you to write the flow status down. And so it's not as essential, but I would take more pictures than less in general. We're not doing slides anymore, people.
But, for the intermittent, to me, it being intermittent in the last tide cycle versus 48 hours is different.
Yeah.
Every time, right? Like,
Yeah.
that would be a different answer.
Yeah.
So,
I hear you.
like, can I just think last tide cycle, that one's like that 48 hours?
Yeah. Kathy, can you flag that for me to look into? Because honestly, my memory was the last tide cycle too, but then I read the slide. Yeah. Yeah, it would be easier and clearer. Yeah.
But sometimes it's just like during king tides. Like 3 months of the year.
Yep. Right. Yeah. But if it's happening when you're there and it's a regular thing, we want to capture it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So just remember online, you can get that new data sheet, not so new, but for those of you who've been around a long time, that data sheet is online to be printed. And then the master code list has been updated with those new codes. You can grab one today, please do. And then the survey maps with the stream names and locations. So please double check that for your beach. And if we need to make changes, we are happy to do that. Okay. I think we should stand up and stretch for a second.
Bother you about street flow.
Yeah.
So we're 503 Gosnells Creek. We have the one creek that's huge. And in winter, we have 2 or 3 every year.
Yeah.
So I think they need to be named.
We can do
This is
that.
our,
Yeah, let's do that.
so now should we meet with her?
Yeah,
Or-
let's all kind of email about it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So grab a coffee, grab data sheets, whatever, and then let's get through this next bit. How is it going, Stringer Grant?
So, question, I think the answer is fracture. Consistently, heavier than speed. Coming in. Heavy enough. So that to name them. Well, right now, if you look at our data sheets that we're gonna, we just put, seasonal stream not flowing growth, which means that it made it a few feet of progressing and then. Because of the two, one of them is more robust than the other. Right, the one that has the big, well. Yeah. Is the one that's not as robust, this is the other one there, so I have one waterfall that makes it to the lake shop pretty consistently. And then I have the other one. And then to the point where you get your feet wet trying to. Okay.
Yeah. We'll need to talk about this. And that's one that.
They're not. Do they still take video? I don't report that.
There is absolutely, I have that same link, and so as a non-beach person, I use that same link. Yeah. All right, everybody, come on back. We want to keep on time. Come on back.
It's a bit of a way, and I find. I find it really helpful. I can go out. Yeah.
I can't promise anything, but it's
I
great.
realize that, that's why I dropped.
Yeah, no, that's great.
It's possible, but
Yeah.
it'd be very helpful.
Yeah, great. You need it.
I understood.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
I've got.
Here, I'll use the mic. Come on back, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do one of those kid things. If you can hear me,
Yeah.
clap once. All right, people. Okay. Oh, there's a chime here. I could have used that too. All right, we are gonna get going. So this next section, thank you all for your getting through that. So this next section, we're gonna be covering high-level protocols that have been unchanged. So they are reminders like counting zones, percent survey, these kind of things. So I think we'll probably have less questions, and we have a not super long period to get through this before we eat into our lunch. So just flagging. This whole presentation will be recorded, is being recorded, and it will be posted on the portal. Okay, so a little protocol refresher. This is not covering every single topic that we cover in training, but it's covering some of the pieces that feel like people stray on. So do remember that there are recorded full training classes on the portal that you can watch the entire live presentation on. And there's also the manual. Okay, so we're gonna jump in. So you've probably seen this slide before. We ask everyone to stick to the protocols. For all of our data to come together cohesively, we need to use the same protocols, be consistent. Remember to build your identification skills. If you get stumped in the field, go home and work on that species. It kind of snowballs over time, and be accurate, never guess. Remember, we have codes for, less precise codes, like some of the shorebird codes, gull. Don't just assume that it's a Western gull flying over, although what species is this? Western gull. Okay, reminder that we have the percent live and dead surveyed. Don't just get into a routine of always writing 100 and 100. You may not always have your live and dead survey be the same percent. So reasons for a partial survey: the high tide on a narrow beach prevents access to the entire beach, maybe snowy plover or other sensitive species. Know that the percent surveyed on your particular survey will give me a different number of kilometers surveyed. It is used in every single way that we use our data. So the number of birds you saw per kilometers you actually surveyed on that day, it really does matter. So please be diligent on that. And if you have questions, let us know. Don't be tempted to add species after your live survey. When you do your live survey, you're counting your live wildlife and your human activities all at the same time. And forgive me, I know some people here have a One Direction survey, so please work with me on that. I know those people are doing live and dead at the same time, but kind of the standard type of survey is that you're counting your live wildlife and human activities. You count them as you pass them. And you are trying to keep track of like, okay, 12 sanderlings went this way past me, and 12 sanderlings went back past this way, and then 12 again. It's probably 12 sanderlings. So to try, if you can, I know you're juggling a lot of things. And people too. People are a little easier. So you're scanning several places besides the beach itself. So when you're doing your live survey, it's the beach, it's overhead, it's inland, and it's out into the ocean. So we'll talk about that, those distances. And remember, we are working on surveying without disturbance. So don't just walk in a straight line down the beach. Do your zigzagging to get around that flock, and you may be going inland or out to sea. So again, our live survey, so it's the entire width of the beach. And then from where the grass or the rocks start at the back of the beach, you're going to go inland 300 feet or 90 meters. And then from the water's edge out, so this is your live bird survey. This is your live zone for wildlife, for birds. For mammals, yes.
Or overhead.
All the way as far as you can see.
But I can't determine what the species is through my binoculars because it's so far up there.
Yeah. It's bird. It's land bird, it's seabird, it's bird. So then for marine mammals, if you see something breaching on the horizon, do you count it? If fog prevents you from seeing it, I guess you're not going to count it. But as far as you can see, you are going to be counting it. Okay, the human activities survey. We're going over this because it's fussy, right? Like there's these different areas. So this is why we are doing a reminder. So the human activities. So it's the width of your beach, but it's going to stop at that back slope where the grasses start, where the rocks start. You're not going to be counting people up on the bluff. You're not counting anything in parking lots. So you're doing your beach and then out to 1/3 of a mile. And so having those maps, it's really helpful to like look at an offshore rock, a buoy, these kind of things. And again, you can work with us if you want to practice, like what would that be? So if you were standing at the beach and looking offshore at sea level, you're going to be able to see about 3 miles is the standard. It would be different if you were on a bluff, you'd see more, but these are the kind of things that can help you calibrate. So 1/3 of a mile is going to be beyond the breakers, these kind of things, but it's very specific to your own beach.
What about benches in the dunes right behind the beach?
Right, Doran?
Yeah.
Yeah, the human count ends at where the vegetation starts. Okay, so human activity surveying, again, this is happening simultaneously with your live survey. You're counting things as you pass them. You're not counting things that are suddenly happening behind you. And if a person's activity changes, you don't need to change it. Just capture it as what it was when it first started. Once you've completed your live or human use activity survey, do not add new observations. So if you have a standard survey where you're doing your live survey from one end of the beach to the end, and you turn around and you change your data sheets, and you start your dead survey, and then the peregrine flies by. Wasn't during your live survey. You can put it in comments. Put it in comments. Let's see. Okay, and then just a reminder that partial beach closures can happen at any time, especially in the winter months. Cities will often post like water closed due to water quality issues. So where would you capture this information? In the beach closure section at the bottom of your human use form. So remember, those knowing when something wasn't accessible, should not have been accessible to the public is important. And the way that we walk down the beach during the dead survey is a little different than the live survey, right? So you're going to be zigzagging around, looking under this pile of kelp and, moving around. You can use binoculars too to help you scope something out, but see if it was a dead bird, but move around more on the beach. It's not a straight walk. It's not your chance to catch up with your beach watch buddy as you walk down the beach. We are there for a job. And remember to check heavy deposits of algae and rack for hidden carcasses. Question?
Sometimes see people with a rod, a line, and I don't know what it is, pull wires to catch crabs.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a code where there's something that's there, and then, so I don't know how to code it.
Okay, so that is a good one, and it is a tricky one in terms of how we use our data. Yeah, the question. So, Coleman has seen people carrying like a pole, right? A pole with a line and then a little cage that has lots of little nooses on it. So this is a tricky piece because what is at the end of that line is a trap. It is a trap. And it's being used on a pole with a line. And so if you walk down the beach and there's someone with a pole and a line in the water and you don't have any other information, you're going to write them down as pole and line. And honestly, that is fine. But if you happen to be there in the moment that they are pulling it up, and then you see this chunky thing at the end of the line, there's a crab hanging off because it got its claw stuck. So that is a trap. So if you have that information, it is a trap. But it is a caveat that starting, I can't remember now what year they became very popular. Anyone who wants to use our data for fish and line, I would say be careful, because at this point in time, this became a popular activity. And it's not our protocol to question somebody what's at the end of that line. And so it just is what it is with our data. But we saw a big spike in people with pole and line fishing in that year. And we know that was a big year for crabs starting. So that is fine. But if you do see that chunky thing at the end of the line, it is a trap. Okay. So beautiful bird. Anybody know what species? Very nice. Love that. Okay, beautiful bird. So dead data collection, the things that you would put under your specimen category is any dead vertebrate. So what are vertebrates that we might see on the beach? Birds, mammals. Okay, you all have that down. Also reptiles. Okay, so a sea turtle, I don't know, marine iguana, fish. So if you have fish, and that includes sharks, rays, these kind of things, go ahead and count it as a specimen, document it, take the pictures, and photographs are required for any vertebrate.
I did find one time an amphibian. Believe it or
So we record and document.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Vertebrate.
Yeah. Okay, wing chord, just a reminder, that is from the bend of the wing to the tip of the flight feathers. measure it from underneath, like this picture shows, and you can just leave it in the natural position. And reminder, especially this year, we've had quite a few oiled birds, and they've often been these small patches on the wings. So keep an eye out for those subtle, small, dark, sticky patches on the birds. The dark birds can hide them a little bit more. But what would you do if you found this? So we're going to be taking a sample. You're also going to be using codes that it's oiled on the specimen, the line of specimen data you're collecting. You're going to be taking a silver dollar size patch of feathers, and you're going to be calling us right away. And we're going to be transferring those samples to us. Marine mammals, standard length is recorded in centimeters. If your tape measure has an inch side and a centimeter side and has not already been crossed out with black ink, please do that. Even the most seasoned of us will sometimes submit, I'm looking at the length and I'm saying, yeah, that works out if that was in inches, but this is centimeters. So pinnipeds, measuring from the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail, and cetaceans, tip of the nose to the notch. And if a carcass is incomplete, please estimate the measurement, but put it in comments instead of in the standard length field.
Oh, wait, what?
Yep.
Sorry, what's that?
Supposed to put it in the standard length and then.
It fits
put estimated in the
estimated.
comment? You have to put something.
You have to put something, okay, right, sorry, I will correct the slide, apologies for that, thank you for. So it will be noted in the comments that it's estimated. Thank you. You guys can't let me get away with anything. Okay. Seasonality cheat sheet. Has everybody seen this before? Most people, okay. If you need one, grab one in the back. Sue will probably talk about this during sleuthing. So this is just helpful to help you remember like what times of year you might be seeing something. There are very specific seasons for each of them, each of the species. So very helpful resource. Another helpful resource helps with aging and lengths. We always want to keep in mind what the teeth are like. Like, is this saying it's an immature in length, but it has tiny little baby teeth falling out? Well, maybe it's just a big young one. So you have to keep a few things in mind. And again, Sue will probably use this in the sleuthing, but feel free to grab one. It is very helpful. We're going to practice marking dead vertebrates today for mammals. So birds, you're clipping both wings, not just one. And you're clipping both feet, not just one. So help your team, your alternate team out and yourself out by making those clips really obvious. And for mammals, Sue is going to help show best places for placement and how to tie it really tight because they come off a lot and we don't want to overcount. So I really like when people enter their mammal data and say, oh, I didn't have a tie, but I feel like this was previously documented. If it was previously documented, you're not going to be adding it as a specimen. And so really try and get those ties tight, but also always question, was this previously documented? Did my alternate team say there was a dead mammal near this beach access? And then previously documented dead. Remember, dead mammals persist for a long time. Don't count them again. Remember to use that previously documented dead. And it's okay if you just call it a quorum and not get it to species. We just need counts. All right, we are getting through this. So photographs. We're photographing the date and the beach ID, beach profiles. We love when you take them in the same place every time. Especially when you can see something in the picture that helps the person looking at the picture say, oh yeah, that is the same thing, same location, time after time. Those are great. We will have some very cool presentations in the future about how our photographic data is going to be used for long-term beach change modeling. We're super excited. So help them make these as useful as possible. Again, we're photographing all the dead vertebrates, any oil on the beach or on wildlife. So that could be a live thing, it could be a dead thing. The streams and lagoon mouths, violations if it's safe to do so. So that might be boat groundings. It might be other things with, humans running around, but really only if it's safe to do so, if there's lots of space. But you all have found plenty of boats that first washed up on the beach, so those are always important. Any unusual or unknown live species that you might want to email me or other team members to figure out. Volunteers in action, and of course, all of your completed data sheets. Okay, the biggest things with your photographs. Brushing the sand and seaweed off the animals. Really show us, even though you may say, I know this is a California sea lion, you have to prove it with the pictures, right? Like this is where we need really good data. So placing the photo scale either in the bottom right or anywhere in the picture to highlight what you're trying to show. Take a photo from directly above if you can get above it. If it's a big elephant seal, that's not going to happen. Fill the frame with the animal without cutting off the wingtips or the noses. Sometimes those are very important to the person who's helping verify. And taking extra pictures of anything, entanglement, oiled, etc. So for birds, what are the pictures? Dorsal, ventral, and the things that we just talked about, if it's entangled, if it's oiled. And then mammals. Sue will go through this more with you guys today, but we want you to take at least 5. And you can take many more than that, especially if it's a really unusual species. We've had some crazy marine mammals wash up, like things that you've never even heard of. So, what are dwarf killer whales? What have we had? Beaked whales, striped dolphins, sperm whales, Rizzos, killer whales. I mean, the list goes on and on. That's not a mammal. We did have a red-footed booby like last week.
You did.
First for Beach Watch. Red-footed booby. It was at our office, actually. Yeah.
Who verifies the IDs for the photos?
Okay, birds is Peter Pyle and mammals myself. Or Sue. Yeah.
I just want to make sure it's okay. Sometimes when the birds are 4 and it's same as it can be, I put you side 1 and side 2 instead of dorsal.
Yes. Totally. I know exactly what you mean. From that beach, I know what that means. She said sometimes when it's mummified and stiff as a board, you're not going to get dorsal and ventral. It might just be side 1 and side 2. Yeah. Okay. Okay. At least 2 photos of every bird. And for mammals, Sue is pointing out some really cool tips that she'll talk more with you about, like the flippers and abdomen at the bottom. She is saying if you're gonna take the picture of the flippers, show the bottom of the abdomen too. Don't cut off the thing that's maybe gonna tell me exactly what gender it is. So think in terms of that. What are you trying to show? Getting that, side view of the open mouth, not like a front view. The side view gives us a lot more information. So, positioning the mammals on their back is best. That means, for a harbor seal, they're going to be pretty easy to roll around. You're going to be able to get the abdomen for, to help with the sex. So remember to, just take all the shots. 5 is a minimum. Take more if possible. Okay, data entry.
Kirsten, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I just want to clarify what constitutes a specimen. So if I have one tarsus that I found, is that a specimen? If I have one sternum or one wing?
Yeah, so you can't mark that sternum, just a sternum. Like if you have just a sternum, it probably came from a bird that was counted last survey. So you want to be able to see the parts that could be marked, right? So it is, I honestly, off the top of my head, I can't remember the specific description of the definition from the manual, but just imagine if it's a scapula and you had a mammal on the survey before, and that's all you have, we don't want to count things again.
I guess I'm talking about bird.
Yeah, so bird, so if it's just a sternum and nothing else, no. No.
But a
Okay.
wing is countable as a specimen.
Yeah, if it has not been clipped,
Right.
yeah, it is not been counted. Okay, we have a hand. Yeah, so tarsus. Yeah, so a single tarsus that has not had clipped toes is a little bit iffier, right? Where there's not a lot of information that you're going to get from that single leg that is going to benefit the data. So yeah, there are a lot of, consider that. Can I see that I have already looked at this? Okay, I need to keep moving. So other questions come to us after, please. Yes, I see what time it is. Can we have 5 more minutes?
I just don't know if that guy's gonna pop in.
Yeah. Drew, can you text with Micah and let him know that we're not going to be ready for a few more minutes in terms of testing?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So data entry, reminder to complete forms. Always write in pencil, write legibly, and fill out all data sheets completely. You're entering data online within 3 days. And photographing all data sheets and uploading them with your survey. And then we need those hard copies into the office so that we can complete our QA/QC. And so get those in the mail, and then canceled surveys. Do you still need to submit a data sheet and enter online? Yes. That minimum data saying that it was canceled. Why? And if you haven't completed your data entry, you haven't completed your survey. So please get that stuff into us. We want to be able to use it. Okay. All right. So reporting, you all have this phone number. It is super important that you call in. So if you have stranded, live or dead marine mammals, you're calling it in. If you have a live or dead sea turtle, call it in. Sanctuary violations, and you know what those are based on your map. Boat grounding, sinkings, oil, all of these things. So you're going to call and leave a message. Okay. So reporting a dead marine mammal, in addition to calling the Beach Watch hotline, you're going to be calling the Marine Mammal Stranding Network and your area manager, and their phone number is on your map. That's always been there. Yeah. So we have a script that is really helpful to use, especially calling in your mammals. And so I think that script is in the back. Please use it. I think everybody has said it's been really helpful to use that. Okay, again, your area manager details. And then we have a few slides on oil. What?
People use that script. Thank you, Sue, for developing that script.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, a few slides on collecting and sampling oil. Troy Guy, who's not here today, one of our recent volunteers, said, come for the birds, stay for the oil. So we're gonna close out our reminder session today with this. And there is a cheat sheet on the back table that really helps. It's a flow chart for when you find oil, what you need to do. So if you have that in your hot little hand right now, I'm gonna quiz you. All right, you find a live oiled bird. What do you need to do? Photograph, if possible, document on your live species count form and report it to the Beach Watch reporting phone. So this is handy because a lot of people don't have oil very often, but when you do, this makes your life easy in terms of what your choices are. You find a dead oiled bird or mammal, it's dead. What are you gonna do? Samples. Great. So this takes the guesswork out of things that don't happen very often. So please use it. When you're sampling feathers or fur, you're going to be photographing it up close of the area that's oiled, as well as the usual specimen photos. You're going to prepare your sample label. You're going to use new gloves for each sample. You're going to collect a silver dollar size collection of feathers. You're going to place it in a jar or foil and seal it with evidence label, and then you're calling us. Yeah.
Okay. And have all of that stuff available for us, because
Yes.
later,
Yes.
because I've run out of.
Yes, we have things for you to take home today, Lydia.
Looking for maybe if it's a marine.
Yeah, it's harder and it's almost never, we've very rarely had them. And so let's ask Sue today the best way to pull that off. Any other questions? Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't think I've ever been given seals, just the jars. Where did we get those?
Yeah, we have them today.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we have all of those things.
Okay.
You will practice today and you will take things home. Okay, you find tar ball or oil. What are you doing? Sorry. Okay, you're taking all the photos. You're noting it on your photo log, you're collecting samples, you're filling out your oil descriptor form, and you're doing the call as soon as you can. Okay, so you're going to use new gear for each sample, making sure you're putting them in the sterile jar or aluminum foil. Yeah, we're gonna, oops, sorry, my buttons are getting sticky. So for oil, you're going to be collecting a maximum of 3 samples from different areas on your beach. We do love when you collect the full 3. And then if you have 10 oiled birds, how many samples are you going to be collecting? All the birds, all the wildlife. There's no stopping the number of those. So remember to bring a lot of extra tinfoil. Okay, and so you'll be practicing this today, so we won't go through it in detail, but all the information, location on the beach. Remember, the people we're submitting this to don't know what Beach 114 is. So what is also adding, this is, Kehoe Beach, Point Reyes, National Seashore, the common names.
What about adding the GPS information you can get from your phone?
Yeah. Yep. Great. So just a huge reminder how much of a difference what you do for Beach Watch. It just makes a huge difference. The amount of restoration projects that have been funded, $52 million in restoration projects because of the wildlife data that you collect, what human activities are happening, the oil samples, all of it goes into natural resource damage assessment. And these managers come to us, they like that we happen all the time, but when something goes down, they're like, we appreciate everything that we all do every day. And so just a reminder that all of these, just sitting through this presentation, going out to the beaches every month, it really is a huge thing. Not today, but some people in this room have been working with us on beta testing, and we do have a photo app that will be coming out not too distant future.
Nice.
So we are excited about that. Not today. Okay, so we are always here to help. You know how to call the Beach Watch hotline. When in doubt, call that hotline for anything that we've listed, emergencies, oil, dead things. But there's also a lot of other people behind the scenes. So if you have data entry questions, camera issues, protocol questions, technical support needs, Kelly DeForest is our go-to person. So feel free to start with Kelly. And if Kelly needs to loop me in or Drew in or somebody else, that's fine. Drew is our go-to for survey scheduling, beach assignments, portal login, protocol questions, HAZWOP oil. Kathy is a North Coast expert, also big on like oil transfers, helping get samples back into the office, and so much else.
East Bay too.
East Bay too. Yes, East Bay and North Coast. And then for me, species ID, protocol questions, permits, anything snowy plover, land manager. So it just helps our flow if you have an idea of who to go to for the right thing. And that is just a huge gratitude. It is a huge team effort, and we're stoked to see you today. We're gonna break for lunch, and then we're gonna have Sue come in and start talking.